for me, it starts with the mindset. And if I'm not in the right mindset, I'm not going to be able to figure out my code or be productive. So being in the right mindset definitely gets me into where I can code more efficiently, effectively, get results.
Welcome, Jake, to this little Pybites Developer Mindset interview. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. How are you doing, Bob?
Yeah, thanks for joining. Tell us a bit about you and what you do for a living.
Yeah, my name's Jake. I grew up around computers. My dad was a software developer, and so I, built my own computer when I was a kid. Never went to technical school or anything. Ended up kind of self-taught working for an MSP, and now through, just kind of evolving my role, I mostly do automation and I integrate different systems through REST APIs.
Cool. That's exciting.
So yeah, it's fun and interesting, and got to start doing more and more code as part of that, which is kind of how I found you guys.
So where were you in your career then when you started PDM, and why did you decide to join the program?
Yeah, I would say I'm established. Everybody's growing, but I definitely am not just starting out. The biggest thing was imposter syndrome, largely because I'm self-taught and kind of just figured stuff out as I went along. There's definitely a lot of imposter syndrome with kind of, especially being in the MSP. And I started working with bigger and bigger enterprise clients, and they're looking at me, expecting me to, know my stuff. And I do, but, in the back of my mind, it's like, oh, I'm self-taught, and these guys are, have all these certifications and, work for big name, enterprise company. And just that imposter syndrome is what drew me. And realizing through the program and through interaction with lots of different people in various places in their careers that we all feel that way, and we know what we know, and we have stuff we all can learn.
Yeah, it never really goes away, right? It's
it doesn't. You're always learning.
Yeah.
And so that was a big thing, and I knew enough about myself and my abilities that I'm very aware of the gaps in my knowledge, specifically with my code. And so I was trying to figure out, I knew enough to see where I was and, where I need to be. And so for a while I was kind of struggling, trying to figure out, how do I get to that next level, more professional code, right? Like I knew about a lot of concepts with, like testing code and different, I'd amassed a lot of knowledge and I knew this stuff, but I knew I don't know enough about authentication to try to do that myself. But I was a little bit lost on how do I get there, or just stuff like that I was trying to figure out how do I get to the next level. And
right, you knew the concepts kind of in theory, but you kind of were looking to apply it more.
Yes, definitely was struggling to apply stuff. That was part, what led me on my journey to finding PDM, reaching out to you guys and starting. I think that kind of ties into one of the next questions. One of the best things that I've learned, and I try to remind myself whenever I'm starting something new, that for me in particular is that feedback loop and getting testing and seeing results and getting something on the screen that does something right, and then tweaking it and testing it from there. I think a lot of people do this, and I'm definitely do. I get caught up in my head and start, trying to write too much code in my mind. I can write all the code I want in my head, but it doesn't mean anything until it's, where it can be executed.
put it out there, right?
Yeah, so getting it out there and figuring out that feedback loop for being able to test and get response. Because whenever I assume that things will do what I want, or in my world, working with projects and different people, and would sometimes get in a position where I would make assumptions to try to keep making progress because of external pressures. And now I've really learned that, like, hey, that doesn't actually help. Like, I can I'll spend all this effort, and then once I can actually test it, 90% of that's wasted if I'm not testing it live and actually getting to get feedback and results of my code and my stuff immediately. And having that.
Yeah. So not only put stuff out there, but also make sure it's testable, right?
Yeah. And having that confidence to say, like, no, this is what I need to get the result that we're looking for. Or this is how, they're looking, in a lot of cases, they're, looking to me to develop whatever, the integration or whatever I'm working on. And in that scenario, you have to have enough confidence to say, like, no, this is at a certain point, it's like, no, I have to do it this way for a reason.
Right.
And so being able to,
you feel more confident to take
more confident in my abilities, and just being upfront with people about where I am and what I need to do my job, and not falling into the trap of saying yes and agreeing to things that we all want to help people and want to be good at our jobs, and we like to make people happy and say yes instinctively. And sometimes you have to say no, or being able to understand where I'm at and speak to that more confidently.
So not only developer skills, but also like the leadership skills to be more confident and assertive, I guess is the word.
Yes, assertive. That's a good one.
Cool. So what did you feel when you started working with us? Were you excited, nervous? When you signed up, what went through your head?
All of the above. I was definitely excited. I was a bit nervous because I definitely was wondering, am I biting off more than I can chew with everything going on in the world. And when I pulled the trigger, I talked to my wife, and she was like, just do it, like, and as soon as I started talking to you guys, everything, you guys resonated with me with, what you guys believe in, and kind of your methodology really, it sparked, it excited me. It was like, oh, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I've been looking for, this kind of mentorship, this coaching, and the feedback of how to figure things out together and build cool stuff. A lot of emotions, and that the nervousness was all excitement after the first phone call.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so talking a bit about the program experience, then, like, did it exceed what you had expected? Like, overall, the program, how did you experience it?
Yeah, definitely exceeded my expectations. Going in, I was kind of like, I'm not entirely sure what to expect. I've never done anything like that, and like I said, I'm pretty much all self-taught. I don't have any real, like, formal technical education that had, like, any sort of framework in my mind for what I was getting into. But I really enjoyed the mindset calls and the code calls. For me, it starts with the mindset. And if I'm not in the right mindset, I'm not gonna be able to figure out my code or be as productive. So being in the right mindset definitely gets me into where I can code more efficiently, effectively, get results. It was intense. There were definitely times where I was questioning myself, but it's that's growth, and it's just no non-zero days, right? Like
Yeah.
it's all about just little steps, like a couple of lines of code, one, the small PRs, right? Not
Yeah.
it's all breaking everything that's huge down into smaller and smaller pieces until it's just one step at a time, and keeping taking those small steps. May not feel like it in the moment, but after 10 weeks you look back and you're like, oh shit, like I built this, like I did
Yeah.
this Django app that the beginning I remember was struggling with, and 10 weeks later it's like, oh look, I can do this just one step
Yeah.
at a time. By the end of the 10 weeks you'll look back and go, I did a lot.
Yeah. Cool. All by going at it in chunkable steps, right? And
Yep.
cool. Nice. So what was your favorite part of the program then? Is that the coding? Well, the mindset you mentioned. Seems like both
Mindset,
were kind of
both, yeah. The mindset, I think, was, like I said, for me, I have to have the mindset, and if I don't get my mind right, I'm not productive. I'll go in the wrong directions, or bite down too hard on the wrong way of trying to solve a problem and get tunnel vision, or just it for me it starts with kind of being in that mindset of that developer mindset. All of the complex problems that we're trying to solve can be broken down into smaller and smaller pieces, and if you're not there, then we got to break it down smaller. There's we're missing something.
right.
And being able to see that, because there's a lot of times where you get kind of what's that, you can't see the forest for the trees. Like it's easy to get, there's so many times where I've gotten stuck on something, and grinding at it harder is not the answer. Like you're just beating your head against the wall. And so yeah, the mindset, kind of take a step back, and collaborating with other people, getting fresh eyes, another point of view. I've come to really, really appreciate even more the value of collaboration and working together, as in all things, but
Yeah.
with code
Great.
in particular too.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. Cool. So what was the aha moment that PDM and its approach was working for you?
I think that aha is the feedback loop, in particular, because like I said, I would lose sight of that, and sometimes I think, looking back on various experiences, I feel like I can see I didn't realize that's what I was doing, but when I got myself set up to be able to get that feedback loop of testing and having my code execute and do stuff, and then just piece by piece taking it one step further and further until I get where I'm trying to go, is probably the biggest aha moment that we think we've all probably done similar, but realizing, like, wait, this is the times that I'm successful, this is why I'm getting more and more stuff done. And so I try to always take a step back, and before I start diving into writing a bunch of code or doing something, like, okay, what am I trying to do? How am I going to get feedback so that I'm not just spinning in place and nothing's happening, or I'm changing code and trying to run it and nothing's changing. And so just making sure that I kind of am more, for me, being intentional is about
Right.
about what I'm trying to do and accomplish. And
You gain more structural approach than overall, right?
yes,
Right.
a more
Okay.
structured approach overall.
cool.
I like
So how
that.
did your life change through PDM?
For the better. I mean, it's been a life-changing time for everybody, I think. And this has been I've been on a journey of self-transformation for the last, year or so. And PDM was definitely a part of that and still is a part of um, my life journey and understanding the world and what I want to get out of it. Um, the the biggest life journey thing for me that I think resonated is just um, you know help other people be I think that's the I guess I've been struggling with like the meaning of life and whatnot and how to understand the world, and
Yeah.
in a weird way, like PDM really has helped me in that regard, because I think you know just no matter what you do, code, whatever your interests just helping other people, being a good person and trying to learn and uh and grow and be better and help other people be better is kind of the what it's all about. And so
Uh,
uh, seeing that play out in different ways has been really good for me mentally too, to see like that the be what they say was what's the be the change you want to see in the world.
mhm.
um yeah you guys, PDM is part of the change that I want to see in the world. And
Awesome.
that's I think the big thing, that's part of the change that I want to see in the world, so I want to be a part of it. And
Yeah. So, you grew as not only as a developer, but also as a person then, right?
yeah, very
Awesome.
much.
Cool, cool. So if you could tell someone that's on the fence about PDM or is even in PDM right now and it's not getting the momentum, what is one piece of advice you would give them?
If you're trying to get momentum, let's find the smallest step, send Bob the smallest PR, and you will feel like that PR Bob will make you feel like a fucking rock star. Like, if you put effort in, it is going to be multiplied back. Um, it's just, you've got to take that first step.
Yeah.
It's one little step at a time, and all those little steps add up.
Drop
Um,
perfectionism and
Drop perfectionism.
get
You know,
something out there, right?
yeah,
What you put in is what you get out, obviously, right?
of PDM, of life, of everything.
Cool, cool. Any final words before we wrap it up?
I look forward to seeing you in Slack. Whoever's watching this out there, join
Yeah.
PDM.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake.